News Channel 5 Network, this is Morning Line with Nick Barris.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on Morning Line. Nick Barris coming to you on a Wednesday. And look, just stay inside because it's hot outside. And join in the conversation. We're talking an important topic, one where there's some information here that might, if it's not something that you can use, you may be able to share it with someone else. But I think it's something that everyone should be aware of, the whole idea of sexual assault and how cases like this are handled and how victims can seek out help. And among other things, you hear about rape victims. And you've heard about rape kits, and that is the process of collecting evidence should there be a prosecution following through with it. And how you go about doing that and who does that and how it can be a little bit intimidating, scary, and you certainly don't want it to be such that maybe someone who is a victim of a sex crime not seeking this out because they think the process is too hard or they don't know where to go or they're intimidated by it. And so there are things happening here in Middle Tennessee and Nashville that I think make it more available and I think make it an easier process to go through. And when I say easy, I mean by what you have to do. Going through a rape kit and being a victim of crime, there's nothing easy about that. We're going to talk about the Safe Clinic, the number 737-7587 if you want to jump in while we discuss this. But frankly, I've got a lot of questions about how it works. And we've got a great panel with us this morning. We have Rachel Freeman. She's the Safe Clinic president. Thanks for coming on, Rachel.
Thank you, Nick.
Nice
Glad to be here.
And Pam Cruz, lead sexual assault nurse over at Metro General. And you do coordinate sometimes, right?
Yes.
With Safe Clinic.
Yes.
And how this works. So, well, let's lay this out first then for folks maybe who haven't heard of what Safe Clinic does. Why are you here? When were you created? And how does it work?
Great question. So the Safe Clinic stands for Sexual Assault Forensic Exam. Okay. So the Safe Clinic opened in September of 2018. So we've
recent.
Been open only about 9-10 months, going on a year here, and we partner with Nashville General Hospital to provide rape exams at our clinic on the campus of the Sexual Assault Center, and we're located in Metro Center. The whole concept behind the Safe Clinic is that the majority of times when somebody's been raped or sexually assaulted, they don't need the care of an emergency room all the time.
Meaning, okay, you would need a care, for instance, say if there were severe injuries or something
exactly.
like that. Okay.
Head injury, strangulation, additional injuries
that
outside
needed treatment.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then you always want to go to an emergency room. But the idea of developing a Safe Clinic is that it's a place where rape survivors can come, where they are the people caring for them are only there to deal with sexual assault. So we have a nurturing, calming, peaceful environment that's exclusively dedicated to the treatment of sexual assault. We have a team of advocates. We work with the nurse practitioner sexual assault team at Nashville General. They come provide the exams. So there's a continuum of care that happens that's, again, exclusively dedicated to the issues of recovering from sexual assault.
Okay, and so prior then to the creation of the Safe Clinic, I guess you would say that rape victims would just go to hospitals. Is that how it would work?
Correct.
And they still could, correct?
Correct.
But that would be problematic in some ways for them. I understand what you just said about they don't all need to because of the nature of their injuries, but that's the only place they would go to. Why was it determined something like this was needed?
So a lot of times what happens when somebody experiences a sexual assault, not a lot of times, all the time, whenever somebody experiences a sexual assault, they've lost a good bit of power and control. Mm-hmm. And we want to help in small ways, help them regain some power and control back, a sense of normalcy, an ability to make choices and not have all their choices made for them. So we want them to have options. So if somebody has experienced a sexual assault, they can choose to go to a hospital and they're going to get excellent care, but there's also the option of the Safe Clinic now. So we're trying to create more victim-friendly, trauma-informed, survivor-centered options so that when people experience this devastating crime, there are options for them to choose from based on their preferences.
Okay, and I'm guessing so to realize there was a need for something like that would be that, would you say some folks who were victims maybe didn't seek out the kits because they didn't want to go to a hospital and they wished there was an alternative? Is that true? Because if not, why the heck do it? I mean, if everything was working fine, there had to be a reason why this was created. And it wasn't just because everything was working perfectly, apparently. Right?
Yes, very true.
Well, I think it's really important to understand that victims do deserve choices. And I think for us, the one thing that we've seen with the clinic is victims it's such a much better environment for them. It's calm. You think about, I don't know, the last time you've been to the ER,
It can
it's
be
loud.
chaotic.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
chaos.
Yeah.
And most of the time, victims are not able to process all that's going on around
I
them.
understand.
And in the clinic, we have this very patient-centered. I always say it's Zen-like, down to the paint colors on the wall. I mean, there were choices made that made it a very calm environment. I think too that I've heard from a couple of victims, it's nice to go there because you're anonymous in the sense that if you're going to the ER, you might run into your neighbor or you might run into a coworker. If you're at the sexual assault center, more than likely you're not going to see anybody you know.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. And this was created by, it's a nonprofit, correct? And so who came together to get this idea going?
Several years ago, about 3.5 years ago, the mayor's office convened a team of a sexual assault task force, a team of community-wide professionals who engage with, deal with sexual assault issues in some way. So law enforcement, the hospitals, Vanderbilt Hospital, National General Hospital, Sexual Assault Center, the DA's office.
Yeah, I was going to say, the DA, the law enforcement aspect of this, because you guys have to deal with them too, should they choose to move forward to prosecute, right?
Right.
Okay, well, go on.
And we work very closely with Our Kids. Our Kids is another nonprofit, a center that's been doing this for many years. They provide the exams for children. The Safe Clinic provides exams for ages 16 and up.
I was going to ask you, so it's just basic 16 and mostly adults then?
Correct.
Okay.
And we used the Our Kids model because that's been an amazing resource for our community for many, many years.
Seaport White's great, isn't she?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Amazing.
Good friend of ours.
Oh, good.
And we realized as a community that if we can offer this amazing service to children, we should be able to do the same for adults too.
Okay.
So that's how the idea of the Safe Clinic came about. And then the Sexual Assault Center's board of directors decided that we would embark on a capital campaign, and we raised the money necessary to build the facility, to equip it, to decorate it, to do everything that was needed. We raised the money, $2.5 million in 9 months, and now we have an amazing Safe Clinic. But we could not have done it without the community's support and buy-in, and we could not operate it without the support and collaboration of our partners. Because we could have the facility, but it's not going to work well if we're not working well with the hospital, if we're not working well with law enforcement. So it really has been a community-wide effort. And ultimately, we want to decrease the occurrences of rape and sexual assault, and when it does happen, we want people to come forward. And we hope they'll do that at a increased rate now that there is a center dedicated to the immediate response of sexual assault. And ultimately we hope that people will want to report more readily too, because we want the bad guys caught.
Oh, absolutely. All right, listen, there's so much more to talk about on this. I think it's great. And really, before we go to the break, I wanted to ask you then, since it's been less than a year in existence, how many cases have you had come through the door?
So,
and are they referred, or they just come on their own sometimes?
Both.
Okay.
Both. Pam, you have a lot of...
What would you guess? How many since...
We've seen about 100. I think we're at 152 maybe.
Wow.
So I think in 9 months we surpassed our year goal was to see 100 patients.
I wish you didn't see anyone. Not because I don't want people not to come, because I wish there weren't that many cases. That just makes me sick. All right, listen, we'll take a break. When we come back, we can take some phone calls too. 737-7587. I know it's a sensitive topic early, first thing in the morning, but certainly there's much more ground for us to cover here. But we do have the lines open if anyone out there has questions about this issue. We'd be glad to take them. So we'll take a break, be back maybe with some of your calls, and continue our conversation with our two fine guests right after this. Stay with us.